No matter how much you enjoy your job, there will come a time when you wake up with your back throbbing, your knees aching, and your body telling you that you are done working. Unfortunately, we will all face this day. The question is whether we will have enough money to stop working and begin the next chapter of our lives. The thought of retiring early is probably a pipe dream for individuals with lower salaries. It shouldn't be that way, and in this video, I'll show you how to retire early on a modest salary. If you're new to the channel, subscribe below for more life-changing information. The first and most important step toward early retirement on a low income is to eliminate all damaging debt from your financial life. Have you noticed how I use the phrase harmful debt? This is due to the fact that certain types of debt might be quite beneficial in your quest to retire early. Obtaining a mortgage to fund a rental property or a business loan to assist you get your operations off the ground are two examples. When I talk about damaging debt, you probably already know what I'm talking about. But I'll say it again. Debt with a high interest rate. I'm referring to automobile loans, credit card debt, and criminally damaging payday loans. Now, I'd like to be extremely clear about something. If you can't get rid of these types of debt for the rest of your life, especially if you're a low-income earner, you have little chance of retiring early. Why is that? Because high-interest debts deplete one's wealth. Here's an illustration of what I'm talking about. Assume you have a credit card balance of $6,000 at the age of 18 and only pay the minimum monthly payment of $200. It would take you 41 months to pay it off, or almost 3.5 years. Not to mention the fact that, in addition to repaying the initial $6,000, you'd also have to pay almost $2,000 in interest. Let me ask you this. Do you really have $2,000 extra to fork over to your creditors just for fun? I don't believe so. Which is why avoiding this type of debt is critical to making the essential financial progress that will allow you to retire early. It's all well and good for me to urge you not to experiment with these expensive forms of debt. But what if you're already in debt? Then you've got some work ahead of you, and here's how to dig yourself out of that debt hole and back to the surface. To begin, you must examine your present debt status, determining which bills are outstanding and how much each one costs you. Then, in order of greatest to lowest interest rate, sort your debts and begin paying them off one by one. To be honest, if you don't have a great income, this process will take a long time. However, if you're determined and prepared to work longer hours to supplement your income with a part-time job, it'll be well worth it once you're back on track in terms of your overall net worth. Now that you're debt-free, you're effectively retired, right? Not in the least. There's still a lot to be done. The next stage in preparing for your first day in paradise is to check that your financial practices are in order. What exactly do I mean? Allow me to explain. When your income is minimal, you must compensate for it by developing tactical money management abilities. To put it another way, you must masterfully deploy and manage your funds. Unlike a high-income person who may loosely manage their money and afford to skip investing payments now and then, a low-income earner must have their finances in order 100% of the time. So, what are the best practices you should implement? Several examples spring to mind. First and foremost, you must totally commit to two financial management principles: frugality and automation. First, let's talk about frugality. Not to be mistaken with being cheap, which entails spending as little money as possible. Being frugal entails only purchasing products that give value to your life. Spending money to improve your education or skill set, for example, means spending money, but if it may give you a financial advantage, it may be worthwhile. If you were cheap, though, you would most likely pass up this opportunity. To be clear, value-added items do not include things like purchasing a new pocketbook to enhance the worth of your outfit, or purchasing a new golf club to improve your game by 2 strokes. Because your income is limited, you must distinguish between your wants and your needs and spend your money on the latter. Let's move on to automation now that you know it'll be breathing down your neck whenever you spend money. No, I'm not telling you to run out and buy a robot, since it will be a luxury item, not a necessity. When I say automation, I'm referring to the process of automating your savings efforts. By having your employer set up automatic savings deductions from your pay, you can ensure that a portion of your income is saved each month and that you are on track to accomplish your early retirement goal. You might be thinking, But is it truly necessary for me to automate my savings? The key is that you should avoid taking any risks that could jeopardize your financial success. You'll have moments of weakness during your retirement savings journey, and by putting a system in place that ensures saving rather than relying on willpower, you can set yourself up for success. The next stage is to develop your retirement plan once you've established these two important financial behaviors. Many individuals want to retire early, but when you ask them how much money they'll need in retirement or how much money they'll live off in their golden years, they stare at you like a deer in headlights. This won't happen to you because you'll have a strategy in place. You'll need three things to make your retirement plan work: a goal retirement amount, an investment amount, and a budget. The entire amount you'll need to invest for retirement is your goal retirement amount. This is a pot of money from which you will draw throughout your golden years. Therefore, it's critical that you calculate it correctly. The conventional rule is that this amount is equal to 25 times your annual living expenses. However, since no one wants to be working for money until they are 90 years old, I advocate using a more conservative 30 times your annual living expenses instead. As a result, if you presently live on $30,000, you would need to invest $900,000 to enter the retirement period of your life. For some people, the idea of putting aside $900,000 may seem unrealistic. If you seem concerned about this figure, you can always learn to live on less. Simply put, the less money you spend, the less money you need to save. Once you've estimated your target retirement amount, the next step is to figure out how much you'll need to set aside each month to reach your financial objective. If you save $900,000 and invest $750 per month, you'll be able to attain your financial objective in just 30 years, assuming a 7% rate of return. This means that if you're 25, you'll be free in just a few decades. Now, the question is whether your budget allows you to set aside $750 each month, or whatever figure you've determined for yourself. This is when your favorite 6-letter word, budget, comes into play. Whether you despise or like them, they are an important part of reaching your early retirement aspirations. Why in this case? Because they are the key to obtaining the funds you will want to pay your early retirement from the workforce. For example, if you create a budget based on your after-tax income and all of your costs and discover that you won't have enough money to contribute to your retirement account, you've already encountered your first retirement hurdle. In this situation, you can tweak your budget until you can figure out how much money you'll need to invest. But what if you can't manage to free up enough money to make your mandatory monthly commitment no matter how hard you try? Get ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work. There will be moments in your life when you need to make sacrifices in order to attain your objectives. And if you find yourself short on finances to meet your financial commitments, this is one of those occasions. You have no choice but to make more money in this situation. You might be thinking, but didn't you say I could retire on a modest salary? And believe me when I say I'm not going to urge you to start producing $500,000 a year overnight. Rather, figure out how much you can afford to contribute each month and fill in the gaps with extra labor. Working an extra shift a week will get you to your goal contribution within reasonable ease if you're wanting to contribute $750 a month but only have $400. Again, I understand that having to work more irritates you, but it will irritate you even more if you have to stay working. If it means having to listen to your boss for an additional 10 years, or foregoing time with your grandkids since, as I previously stated, they grow up so quickly. We'll defer to the robots to help you accomplish your retirement goals once you have access to your required contribution amount. In the same way that you want to automate your savings, you want to automate your investing efforts. As a low-income person, you can't afford to just skip any investment contributions if you want to retire early. As a result, just like your funds, you must eliminate the possibility of human error. How do you go about doing this? This is accomplished by establishing an automated system that automatically withdraws funds from your bank account each month and invests it toward your retirement goal. This way, whether you're swamped with work, on vacation, or engrossed in a wonderful new Netflix show, you won't forget about your retirement responsibilities and ensuring that your money ends up where it belongs. Congratulations! You now have all the knowledge you require to retire early. However, I am aware that some of you are trembling at the prospect of working for another 30 years. You probably don't even want to go to work the next day. This raises the question of how you can speed up the process even more. You can't change the course of time or make compound interest work quicker, but you can change your status as a low-income earner. If you're currently a low-income earner, you're probably well aware of how inefficient this method of financial advancement is. You probably look around and see individuals working half as many hours as you do and earning double or triple your salary. Well, you're throwing away virtually every waking hour for a wage that barely gets you by. The truth is that increasing your contributions is the best strategy to accelerate your retirement schedule. However, in order to do so, you will need more money, which will necessitate a big increase in your income. I know that when I first started freelancing, the extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month definitely helped me get closer to retirement. Consider this. If you put $1,000 aside every month at 7% interest, it will take you 30 years to reach your goal of $1 million. Investing $3,000 every month, on the other hand, reduces the time to just 15 years. In other words, the more you invest, the sooner you can retire. Currently, I understand that getting more money is easier said than done. But the point I'm trying to make here is that just because you're making a poor salary now doesn't mean you have to continue to do so. You can dramatically increase your market value by accumulating useful skills and experience, and hence never work for a low income again. You won't regret breaking out of your low income rut when you're 55 and sipping a refreshing beer on the beach in the Maldives. Thank you so much for watching. Before you leave, be sure to click like and smash the subscribe and notification buttons. Share this video with your friends and family to help yourself and others learn valuable lessons that'll make you grow and succeed in life. See you guys in the next one.